I used to, or I still do, actually go through the Zoom meeting. I think it's a great mechanism, at least for me. Unfortunately, if I want to make a comment, I have to cover the meeting here. And so that's why I'm circling back. I need to emphasize the importance of somebody like Chrissy. I said it last time, she's a go-to person, or she was. I think you need somebody like that. I went through the 24th meeting, understanding that was last week. We had a 3-hour audio and less than 8 pages on the minutes. Now, for somebody looking from the outside, they either listen to that 3-hour audio or they don't get any information at all what transpired in this meeting. September 10th was exactly the same thing, 2 hours and 50 minutes and less than 10 pages. 27th was 3 hours and 28 minutes, included a workshop. There was only 12 pages. This is including, by the way, all the resolutions. And I can go on and on. There's 4 hours and 15 minutes and a 12-page back in August, okay? I don't see it as a big problem hiring somebody to come in every other week to do the minutes as a temp. You can hire these people, they can come in and they can do a transcription for it. I'm not saying you need to have 40 pages, but minutes, quite frankly, are worthless to anybody looking on the outside. And a lot of people aren't going to listen to a 3.5-hour audio. I appreciate your help, and hopefully we can do something about this. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Okay.
Supervisor Hurd,
Yes.
Supervisor Phillips,
Yes.
Supervisor Michelle,
Yes.
Supervisor Brooks.
Yeah.
Supervisor Gilman.
Yes. Okay, we have public comment. Is there any public comment on anything?
Hello, everybody. My name is Gary Rowe.
Well, my own motion.
My comment is, what the heck's going on with water? Bills, the bills are so screwed up. And I just had an estimated bill for, I'm the Secretary Treasurer of our association. A monthly bill, they usually run 150, 160 a month. We have a pool. Was $743. I went over and talked to the offices as well, because we've been estimating. Well, they used to estimate once in a while, and our bill wasn't that much difference. There's more, which is usually about $160. So they said, well, we've lost the lady in church. So anyway, I'm wondering what is happening. I understand they're doing some work, they're gonna do some work, meters. But they've estimated a bill for 8 months. And then they just threw a $800 bill as plus we didn't pay what I consider our normal month. So kind of wondering what's going on.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I would like to address it. Sort of the automated meter system is in disarray and hasn't been working, and there's a bid out right now to replace it. So they have been estimating the bills, and what they did is we hired 2 people as temporaries to go out and actually get accurate readings and manually read the bills. So when they went in and pulled the actual meter reading, in some cases it was underestimated. So they were bringing that balance forward. There were some cases where people might have been out of town or that where they overestimated. So that's the situation. Did they answer that question in the office? Saying, okay, well, I can get you some detailed information. What was your name again, please?
Gary Lang.
And are you talking about the personal bill or the homeowner association?
My personal bill was normal, what it usually is. But it was also estimated.
Right.
But it was estimated what it normally was. The association bill, which I pay, right? Paid through the association. It was 7 times what it normally was.
And that's just.
And I have enough history, excuse me. I have enough history because I've been secretary treasurer for 5 or 6 years. I know what that bill normally is. We weren't watering at all during the summer because we got so much rain. So it just doesn't make any sense.
And what association is that?
The Oasis.
Oasis, okay, we'll check in, you get back into the.
Okay. Great.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
And if you don't get what you want, come back, maybe.
the first person that's ever said that to me.
Okay. You might not get what you want when you come back, but
It is an issue we are addressing. So
we just, yeah, thank you for your input. Any other public comment? Okay. I think Scott, you're next.
Good morning, Supervisor Scott Carroll, County Board of County Commissioners. Just a couple of things to update you on from the previous meetings and some to the conference call at 10 o'clock this morning, so I'm cut out on you. But I'll start with the recycling. We talked about a recycling collection facility here within the community. I spoke with our county engineer that's heading that up, and we're at now the initial phase of the recycling collection points are being focused on the 3 municipalities, Avon Park, Sebring, Lake Placid. The good news initially that I feel for your community is the one for Avon Park is actually we're negotiating with putting it at the Armory. So it's right on the north side of your community, even though it is out on the highway. The recent agreement, the amended agreement that we approved with Waste Connections was for initially 3 in each municipality, and then an additional 2 facilities starting in the 2nd year. So I have put in a request for your community here to be one of those, and that was the thought of staff also, because of the size of your community. There was talks about putting one here and one also potentially out at Spring Lake. So when we get to that point, staff would be reaching out to your staff to see about a location that we could certainly see about placing that collection facility at. That would be location that you would have out here. The county would pay the expense to fence the location, to place the collection dumpster there. It would also be a manned location. All of the locations that we develop in Highlands County for recycling will be manned by a person during the operational hours of the collection facility. So that is in the works. I have passed a request on, so, and that is the thought that the size of your community will have you to get one located here. So we're working on that.
Scott,
Yes, sir.
you say it's at least a year away. Somebody can say that.
About a year, yeah. I mean, not, well, I can tell you the one at the Armory. No, that should probably be up. Yeah, the one at the Armory within a month or so, month or 2, we're hoping. The one for here, yeah, you're probably looking at another 10 months or so, 10 or 11 months, yeah. On the Schumacher Road paving that we talked about at the last meeting, I met with their staff yesterday afternoon for an hour and a half, and that was our director of road and bridge, our county engineer, and also Tammy Kennedy, our business services director. And I told them what the request was here from the board of supervisors. So what we want to do at this point is for you folks to assign whatever staff, or if you want a supervisor liaison to be involved in these meetings. The next step would be for either Chris or somebody or one of the supervisors reach out to. I would recommend I ask you the point person at this time would be, and Tanya said that she could take the point on scheduling the meetings. And they would start out with a meeting with your representatives, with our staff that I mentioned at the county, and start talking about Schumacher Road and repaving for that. So it is in the works as far as conversation gets started. And my hopes is to connect the 2 groups together, where if you want a supervisor liaison, like I said, in that committee, they certainly could come back and report to your board. I can also report to the board on the progress of that. But yes,
I have a question on that. Should we even be involved in the extension of Schumacher? Because that has nothing to do.
Well, the extension of Cortez, I think, is gonna, because I've heard
Yes.
lots of want Cortez
That's
to
what
extend
we're-
out to Schumacher, and that's gonna be part of this whole project, I believe, because of course, if we're going to repave Schumacher down to the end there, where it turns Blueberry cuts back to the south there, then they want you folks to be involved in that also because of how Cortez would tie into Schumacher. So, and
Because that's what the problem was before is they wanted us financially involved
right.
in extending Schumacher, and that's really not,
Yeah.
that would be benefit for the county, not us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's gonna benefit both. It's gonna benefit, it's gonna create that fourth entrance if we're able to get this all done and pay Schumacher and get Cortez to tie into it. I believe it's gonna be a benefit
Oh, yeah.
for the county and this community. I know there were some concerns in the past and there were some talks, of one day Schumacher extended all the way towards Harding County.
Yes,
Coming out on Parnell and Steve Roberts Special, that intersection is there. I attend a lot of the Highlands County Transportation Planning Organization meetings. That really isn't even on the radar right now, so I don't see, and I can tell you stuff like that and through sensitive areas that would go through State Park, close to State Park and what have you, and some of those areas that it would, it's gonna be a very long time out on something like that, that Schumacher would be extended over towards Harding County to connect out there, so. You know, what I was tasked with certainly was to get the conversation back going, because I know this was something that was talked about in the past, and see what we can do to get this moving forward again, so, yeah. And like I said, I believe that at least you need to have one of your staff involved in this as far as the Cortez extension. So that's all I have.
okay.
Okay, any other questions, county wise, with that?
I'd just like to ask the board, I mean, you said something about maybe 10 months down the road. For the-
Recycling.
Are we, do we have a consent that we would want in Southern Lake? Or,
I think we should entertain it. Yeah.
okay,
Yeah, certainly, I mean, that's,
I think two is enough that we should talk about.
well, I mean, you have a very large community here, one of the largest residential communities in the county, so I heard some requests from you about putting one out here in our contract with Waste Connections. It'll end up being a total of 5. Initially would be the 3 to get everybody started in each of the municipalities. But if you continue to desire to have one here, we'll do everything I can do to see if we can make that happen for you. And it would take a small piece of property somewhere in your community or something that, and so we would pay the expense of fencing it, putting the collection device there, make Waste Connections would man it, that's part of the contract and what have you. But it would take a piece of property, not a very large piece of property, it's gonna take a piece of property big enough for the truck to get in and pick the dumpster up on the stolen, bring recycling stuff to the recycling center. But it can all be done. You know, your part will be of actually agreeing on the location within the boundaries that we could put that accessible, you feel would be most desirable to your residents.
Yeah, I think that would be the problem, is finding a place that.
Sure. You know, we talked about
Everybody's
recycling
happy.
before, but you know, this is an effort to try to clean up our recycling, and those that truly want to do it right. I know it takes a little bit of an extra effort, but our previous efforts in recycling just, as we know, I've shared that before, this was not working, so.
Okay, thank you.
Right, just to clarify that, because there's been confusion, right now, really nothing being recycled. On the base systems are set up, what's recycled there will actually be recycled.
Yes, absolutely, because it'll be clean recycling, and all these, so those dumpsters will have different compartments in them. That they could put cardboard, they could put plastic bottles and things like that, so that stuff already being separated like that, what have you. Solves 99% of the problems that we've had. Big problem was the contamination. And I spoke with Waste Connections about the green cans that some folks have. Some need them and they're actually utilizing them as their second garbage can, and let's relieve them on not having space in their blue can. Others, the blue can for me, there's 2 of us in our household, it's plenty big enough for weekly pickup. So if you don't desire to have your green can, you can contact Waste Connections and get on the list. They're starting a list to pick those cans up. They're going to start an effort in the county for those that no longer wish to have them, that they would pick them up. Or by chance, if you just don't want to wait to have it picked up, certainly if you have a pickup truck or something that you could throw in the back of, or someone here wanting to bring them out to Waste Connections, they will accept them out there also. So that's up to each and every person. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'll take care. And like I said, anything that you need from me or what have you. But I spoke with, like I said, Tanya, our county engineer, and our road and bridge director, and they will wait, and certainly they want to talk to you folks about the time and report that the Schumacher, and how that will be solved.
Okay,
I got one quick question. When is your last time with us?
What's that?
Did you say there's gonna be a change?
Well, there potentially could be. I'm the current chair right now, and the chair assigns all committees. So I have one more meeting October 19th that I will be chair. The first meeting in November, the county commission. The first order of business is amongst the 5 commissioners, we elect a new chair and a vice chair. Okay. Doesn't mean that I won't be nominated or maybe chose to be chair a second year in a row, but you do have a vice chair, Commissioner Kathy Rapp. So we like to keep that progress going, if so, but ultimately it's up to the 5 commissioners to choose who the chair and the vice chair is. And then if it's a new chair, they have the ability, or that they're able to, they're responsible for committee assignments, so they can change committee assignments. I don't see my assignment changing because I am your commissioner. This is District 3, and it makes no sense for me to be your liaison. It's like Ron Hanley was, you're in my district, so I don't see that changing. It could, but I don't see that changing. So we'll keep you up to date. Okay, thank you. I'll take care. All right, appreciate it.
okay, the action agenda. Public hearing resolution number 2021-10 08-37. A resolution of the Sun Lake Seafood Improvement District to approve the International Golf membership for fiscal year 2022. Is that you, Mike? You want to talk first?
Motion and a second.
Uh,
We need a motion and a second.
Well, sorry, we need a motion.
Yeah, but it's, we
Yeah,
need a
we're
motion
still
and a second.
doing the public. So, second. The second, okay, now.
Good morning,
Sorry.
supervisors. Obviously, we've talked about this in the past 2 previous meetings. Since we did it last year, obviously, we updated the pricing to follow suit with our increases for this year. I updated the date range that the term will follow just basically for this fiscal year. Other than that, there's no changes from last year. Unless you have any questions, I think it's pretty straightforward.
Well, can we get it right first day? We still haven't made changes. I'm reading this, it's not right. You can't start at 2020, 2021. I keep saying we gotta go 219, 220. And 220, 221. Assuming the way it's written, that everybody who was a member 2 years ago had the opportunity last year. That's not necessarily true. So there will be people, I believe, who will come down this year who haven't been here. They should be eligible for the discount.
Can we make that amendment today and move forward?
So the question is much as, because this says that membership will only be available to those who are members in the 2020-2021 fiscal year, and that's what we're not wanting to enforce.
It should be.
We just want to add, we want to add the last 2 years. And then-
It should be the last 2 years to cover everybody. That's what it's really.
Okay, so yeah, so then that's not an issue. The only thing that would be an issue is if we were making it available to less people. So if we're making it available to more people, we don't, that's not an issue.
Right, I'm trying to make it available to the same people that we have to work.
Right.
So no, so we don't need to re-advertise. That can be taken care of internally.
Yeah, I can take it all right. Right, I'll add that. I'll add 1920 in there to, since I
I
should.
don't know what's difficult. I've asked 7 times in the last 6 weeks. It's really sad.
Any other questions?
Do we need to amend this or find a way to?
No,
We don't need to re-advertise it. So as long as it can be handled internally, as far as the people that qualify for the international.
The question was, do we need to clarify, since this is a resolution, we need to clarify in the resolution that it does include.
Yeah, I think I think we've done that. I don't think we need to amend it. So, yeah, clarification, I think Mr. Lemire understands what's going on, and he can make that amendment internally for anybody that applies.
Any other comment? Public comment.
Mark Camp, resident. Actually, Ray covered one of the things, so it was just an oversight, I'm sure, because it certainly eliminated the people who weren't able to come down last year for various reasons, financial or otherwise, because they had flying. But there's also a couple other things I guess needs some clarification. Last year, and I could care less what you charge. I think this is a great thing. I think it's good PR and it's good for our Canadian friends. Well, last year you charged $799 for membership. This year you're charging Belmore $800. That's on a family membership. Last year you charged $600, or you're going to $600. I'm sorry. And I'm a little confused at what the methodology was or how you even arrived at this, because if you took everybody's memberships went up this year. The max they can stay here is 180 days. And I want to give them the best discount they can get, but family membership is $53.67. That's what I paid this year. Divide that by 6, and that's $895, not $800. That's assuming they could stay here 180 days, but some of them won't. So a lot of them probably don't want to be here 3 or 4 months because they might come in January and then leave in April, as they typically do, which is great, once again. Then you took a single membership, it's $37.57, and you divide that by 6, but based on the formula that you used last year, it comes up to $626, not $600. Now, I might be missing something, so that's why I'm bringing this up. But I think that if we're going to be consistent, whatever that methodology was, I'm sure you're ready to tell me how you came up with, because it was supposedly a 6 last year. And I remember there's a lot of debate about it. But anyway, I appreciate your input.
Sure, so that is exactly how we did it, but I think the figures that you just gave us on what you pay for membership, that was with tax included on it.
Yes.
So this figure right here is $800 plus tax, which if you add the tax, should get you around that number.
No, okay, no. I will go back and do my math. I think it's what, 7 or 7.5% we pay. That would
So
be
$600 times
56%. I mean, $56 plus 0.5%. So yeah. Okay, so that's what it is. Okay. And that's fine. Like I said,
What are the rates?
well, the rates are advertised as $800 plus tax. So that's an accurate number.
Right.
Well, basically accurate. So they get a little discount. They deserve it. I mean, look what they're putting up with at the border.
It's supposed to be 1.6 plus handling fee.
Well, that was
Right.
that was last year.
Which is correct. I've ran the number several times. It is correct. If you put this plus tax, it's coming out to roughly that figure that he's referring to.
This isn't to throw a cog in the wheel. It's already been advertised. You can't, you're not gonna go back on the advertising. I'm just saying, you got a bunch of people here, both in the district and on the board, that haven't picked up on some of these things. I'm a little concerned about the methodology and the follow-up. That's all, and attention to detail. You guys do a great job. It's hard.
On your figure with the family membership, you said it was around 8. For what, if you took. If you add the tax for the 800, it comes to 860.
Okay, versus $895. That's what I pay, $895. You look at it, I pay $895. It just, like I said, I'm not gonna split hairs. I'm just saying that that's what it comes out to, 1/6 of that amount with tax. Amount to that, okay?
I'm not sure what else is included in your figure, but when we ran this fiction, we added a little bit more into it, so I mean, I'll run them again, but I'm sure it's accurate. It's accurate, I'm sure.
By 53 to 67 by 160, what do you got?
Yeah, it ain't gonna work. It's not, we already thought of that.
Right, the number's accurate, the 800 is accurate, it's follows suit with a 5% increase. The family membership is around 49, I don't have everything in front of me, but it's around 4,900 plus tax. Which obviously it comes roughly to his number, but I don't know, do you have any range key you put into that number? Did you have anything else?
No, that's your published price on your website. The range key is additional.
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
Yeah, that's additional. No problem. Thank you anyway. I thought I'd read it out. In detail. Thanks again. Have a great day.
We sat in my office that day, we ran those numbers, I'm 99.9% positive that it's accurate. Right.
Any other public comment? Okay, Kevin?
Supervisor Harry,
Yes.
Supervisor Phillips,
Yes.
Supervisor Patel,
Yes.
Supervisor Brooks,
He says yes.
Yes. No, I'll say yes. Thank you.
You will.
Supervisor Brooks. Supervisor Brooks, I need the microphone, please.
Yes.
Supervisor Brooks.
Yes.
Thank you. Supervisor Gilpin.
Yes. Resolution number 2021-10-08-38, a resolution of the Sun Lake Seafood Improvement District to approve agreement with Infomark for financial management services. Chris, you want to start?
Need a motion and second.
Oh, I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
Sure, I'll address this. This is the similar agreement that we brought to you at the last meeting. And we made some changes from comments made by the supervisors at the last meeting. The intent of this is to take the burden from the recent resignations on the finance, the accounts payable, and also the meeting minutes and agenda, and send them to Infomark. Which they also have a complete list of services that we generate, the budget, the assessment letters, everything on the finance side. So they're ready to get started immediately. I have to apologize because they were going to participate in the meeting this morning online. I just assumed that they could communicate via Zoom, make comments and be here that way. And that was my fault. I explained it this morning that we don't have two-way communication in our meetings yet. Otherwise, they would have done that. They would have sent somebody here today, but they're ready to go, and I think they'll do a good job for us, and also help our staff and help actually train the staff on CDD functions. Great. So I've worked with the folks for the last 5 years, and they're very efficient, effective in what they do.
Is it still believe they can take action right away to participate? We had talked last meeting, we had set November 1 as their initiation date. Are we still able to do that, or did our delay that?
It delayed them some because they want to sign contract to get started, but we're going to have a phone conference on Monday. It's just communicating with the folks and do the kickoff and send them the information that they need to get started. So it will be moving quickly and implemented in 30 days.
Are we going to get things done in that period that we don't have that?
Same way we're doing them now, struggling along and putting some extra burden on the existing staff. They're kind of doubling up. Chrissy's going back and forth between recreation. She's 2 people. Same thing on the accounting side. It's a significant load with Amanda. She has a temp in her office right now that we also borrowed from rec. Ariel's pitching in, and it's a struggle. And we have our own struggles on the utility side with the billing system. And I'll address the fixes during my time making the meeting.
Any other comment?
But we are going to hire another person.
We're looking at that position right now. It'll probably be because they're doing going to be doing the agenda and the minutes. Where she was doing that before, won't be, and that person will probably be cross-trained to help up front. But you're talking about someone sitting at that desk
Yeah,
in the
that's what I'm
front.
talking
Yes, and the cost of the Infomart contract can be higher, can be covered by 2 of the staff positions that left. So the third one's still.
about. I think it's the board that decides to sit in that position to bring the people that come.
That's, I've heard that sentiment from residents and other members.
So that was a yes, you're gonna replace Chris?
Yeah.
With a body.
Yes,
Yes.
and I meant to say Kelly, sorry.
They haven't quite determined yet how much this person will do, but there will be some money there. Any other comment?
Yeah, I got a question. Has
Okay.
anybody checked out how this worked the last time we tried it? Other than me?
Service companies, I know when I went to Gateway, they had 4 service companies in 5 years.
That's what I asked. Has anybody checked out how this worked the last time we tried it? Here in Sunday, that's what I asked.
My understanding, I wasn't here, obviously, when we did that, my understanding, having talked with some former board members, is that it was a little different than we did before. If we did this, we were trying to outsource the actual general management, or are you thinking of something else?
Well, I think the last time we hired an outside company, I was told, well, obviously, we don't have an outside company, so it didn't work the first time.
Yeah, because we were trying to do it with an outside general manager. We didn't have somebody managing it for us on site, where we have our general manager.
Yes, it was. That was what they tried to do and was a part-time general manager. It didn't really work at all. But it's a little different now. And we still don't know if it's gonna work. I mean, we don't. We hope it.
I have confidence.
Okay. Any other comment? Any public comment? Okay,
Supervisor Vitale,
Yes.
Supervisor Brooks,
No.
Supervisor Herrick,
Yes.
Supervisor Phillips,
Yes.
Supervisor Philbin.
yes,
This is only a 1-year contract.
Yes, sir. And if I may follow up on something related, I was making apologies because I didn't know our Zoom wasn't a 2-way. And I think that we started talking about it last week about bringing in the video component of our meeting to adding to audio and also to making it a 2-way situation. You know, and one thing is that then we can take the video and audio together and post it to YouTube. So if somebody wants to watch the meeting, some of these services have transcripts available. So if somebody wants a detailed information on it, then they can do it. But also people who can't make it to the meeting and will bring us to the board next week, if they want to get online and make comments or chat in, I'd like to have something to say during public comment and be able to make comment remotely, that ability will be here. And I know I've seen it happen before with snowbirds, because when they're up north, sometimes they like to participate in the meetings or see what's going on in a specific item. And it allows them that opportunity to participate. And I was really responding to some of the things Mr. Camp said, that we don't offer that opportunity. The technology is right there. So we'll bring it to you at the next meeting. If the board wants to move forward, we'll implement that. We can do it at very minor cost is just a couple webcams and some different software applications, but I think it'll open up the meeting to a lot more people.
I certainly think that's worth exploring.
Any other comment? Okay. Resolution number 2021-10/08-39, a resolution of the Sun Lake of Human Improvement District to award the SNL Phase 5 Drainage Improvement Project designed as RFP 21-03 for Pebble Beach Drive to KDL Underground and Development Incorporated for $30,506.50.
So moved.
Do we have a motion?
Second.
Second.
And this project is to alleviate some flooding and roadside ditches and areas on the road. I was out there last week with the engineer, and it's basically putting in some pipe, culvert, and inlet structures to move the water down a couple streets and get it flowing downhill to the receiving body and eliminate, we hope, flooding. There was a couple of folks on the street also that asked about getting a price to cut their driveways and pipe underneath it. And we can do that, but we asked them, why don't you let us finish this project and see if it alleviates your problem, and then you won't have to do that. So.
I did ask Dan, I didn't talk to you about it, but about making sure that maybe in the future, if it doesn't work, that we make people do that with their driveways when they get the building permit.
Yeah, to require that, we're looking into that right now, because it probably is a good idea.
Yeah. Okay, any comment from the board?
Just a question, when will we see the whole Phase 5 drainage? I know this is part of it, but we haven't even seen any of that.
And I could not answer that. I got a copy of the document and the plan from Holston yesterday that I was reviewing. I'll come back to the next meeting and bring it to you, that plan.
Okay.
And the paving also an update.
Anybody else? Public comment.
Supervisor Phillips,
Yes.
Supervisor Harry,
Yes.
Supervisor Brooks,
Yes.
Supervisor Natomi,
Yes.
Supervisor Gilman.
Yes. Okay, any add-on items? Petitions and communications,
Nope.
staff reports, who's first?
I'll go first. Code enforcement, notices, we sent out 219. We sent out 219 watch orders of 583. Last one we do, the watch orders are starting to go down a little because people are coming back. Right now we're working on the bathroom over by the golf course, by the kite barn. We're doing both bathrooms over. And we're out in the golf court and we put some concrete. That's what I was just on the phone about. I think Monday, there was a part that was unsafe, I guess. So we tore it out this morning and we poured concrete in both those areas next week.
Is this on the golf course?
One's on the golf course and one's over by the bathrooms.
Which one's on the golf course?
60 deer. And it's gotta be done. It actually got ran over. It was probably by a tractor or something when they were removing the tree. I don't know. You know, and it wasn't safe, so we're gonna fix it.
Well, I'm sorry, what was the other one?
The other one's over by the bathroom, by the kite barns. So, okay, so we'll be doing that next week. And really that's about, and everything else is just our normal maintenance.
What about the speed sign down on Cortez to see if
Yeah, oh, I'm sorry, when we put that the next week, right now we have the speed sign over in the Miranda Homes area. We had a resident that he questioned the speed, he told me they were going 50 or 60 miles an hour. Well, I haven't seen anybody doing that fast, not even close. But we will bring a report back the next meeting on both those areas.
Okay.
Thank you.
I had a complaint from the people who living on Cortez down before the stop sign. South, east, west. Anyway, where we already have 2 speed bumps further back, they're saying they're running in there 40, 50 mile an hour. And I do believe they probably do because there's very limited amount of homes out there until you get into about from Spumoni and then coming in toward Tanks. So that's when we put the speeds in.
Yeah, just so, I mean, I reported that there was, it's all up to this Providence Homes, but there's 61 lots on Cortez. So, but I do know that they speed, like Greg said, they go real fast until they get near the populated area. So it is something to do.
All right, good morning Supervisors, Ariel Phelps, Director of Community Services. Just a couple of quick updates and a couple follow-ups from our last meeting regarding the FERDAP application. So I'm happy to report that our FERDAP application is complete. The Guardian is in the process of submitting that. It has to be submitted digitally. We've got the signatures from the county that were required. So that should be submitted and done and sent in hopefully by the beginning of next week. That particular project is due for submission on October the 15th. So we're a little bit ahead of the game. So that's good news.
Which project was that?
The FERDAP for the playground.
Playground.
Yeah. So on that same topic, at the last meeting, there were a couple of questions regarding the amount of time between the award or the submission and the award. I spoke with Liz at the county and she reached out to the company that they use to write their grants, and they kind of had everybody was kind of on the same page that there isn't necessarily a set date for the award announcement, if you will. From what we've kind of gathered, it sounds like it's somewhere between 8 to 12 months by the time, I would say probably closer to 8 months by the time you find out you're awarded is what it sounded like. I'm still doing a little bit of digging on that because I'm kind of uncomfortable with that answer. So just to give you an update that we could potentially be looking at about 8 months.
For the playground?
Before we know if we've been awarded.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it put it
We're kind of at the mercy of the state at that point, so.
Well, perhaps we ought to look at what we want to do here after that and get a little bit of a head start. So it's going to take longer.
Anticipating that it could take longer. Okay, that's not a problem. We can definitely do that. And then, I'm sorry. Okay, so then one of the last ones is that we had discussed at the last meeting whether or not rep service was going to be helping us with the demolition. So I followed up with them and they said that it was not currently included in what they had sent over. So I asked them just so that we have a comparison to give us that number of what it would cost for their crew to come in and demo the current playground structure. So obviously we have staff that could probably handle it, but just so that we knew what that cost would be to have rep services do the demolition, so that we have a comparison.
The area where the current playground is, what is that going to become?
So
is that part of where the pool's going?
yes, that would be where the pool expansion is. So once that's taken down, we discussed at the last meeting, it would be sodded over and basically just kind of be on hold. And in the anticipation of us expanding the pool potentially one day, that would be where that adult lap style pool would be.
Is there any capital projects that we should maybe move forward if the playground's not going to be done next year?
I can definitely take a look, kind of what we have slated for the the master plan. I was gonna say, I think some of the ones that we have going forward are some really large projects like the pool. But I'll definitely take a look and see, because if the grant itself kind of ended up pushing us back into the next fiscal year, then maybe it would be possible to bump something else.
For that, is that we turn in our expenses after the fact?
Correct, so this one isn't.
So actually,
So what'll happen is we put in for a matching grant, the $200,000
Right,
match.
right.
So once we find out we have that match, we know that we've got that much money from the state coming. Once the project is completed, then you submit all of, because there's, I don't want to call it a report, but for lack of a better term, kind of like a report that's submitted after the fact that has pictures of the final project, the certificate, saying that it's complete, and some of those elements after the project are submitted, and then you get the money.
You get the money upon completion of the
Reimbursed,
project.
yes. I'm sorry.
You get the money upon the completion of the project.
Right, you're reimbursed. Yes, it's a matching reimbursement grant.
are we thinking that we're gonna spend over the 350 that we already have in the budget?
I don't think so if we get a matching grant. Obviously, the beauty of a playground is we can scale it back as needed. So if it's a 200, we have to match 50%. So if we get the $200,000, we've got $350,000 slated to be spent, right? So we already meet that. So in totality, the project could be $550,000 if we so chose, because we're getting 200,000 and we have already planned to spend 350. So basically you'd be getting.
But didn't we think that 350,000 would have provided us the playground that we wanted?
It would be a smaller playground, but yes, it could be a playground. You could get a playground for $350,000.
Where I'm going at it, if we're gonna, the 350 is what we said that we would spend. If we got 200,000 grant, that's just a plus.
Right.
So there would really not be a reason to delay putting in the playground
Okay.
next year.
So what I'll do then is I will go back to, I'll circle back with rep services, and because I still haven't received the initial report that we talked about at the last meeting that showed like the cost analysis and kind of the revised plan for the playground. So what I'll ask them to do is I'll get that and say, okay, can you show me the $350,000 version of this? What would we have to scale back on?
We're not talking scale back, we're just talking starting the project ahead of us.
Okay, I apologize. So you're talking about saying, okay, we already have the 350.
That's
Well,
what,
we know we're gonna spend, we approved 350.
Correct.
So the worst case scenario is we spend the 350. If the grant is approved, we're gonna get 200,000 of that back, or 50%. So if we only spend 350, we would put 75.
I believe that is correct. Let me follow up with Corbett on that piece. I don't know how the 200, I think that if you spend the 200 to get the 200 kind of a thing. So we would spend 200 and have a $400,000 playground in essence.
Okay.
We started off with 350.
Yes, and we're not talking about us necessarily,
$500,000.
we're not talking about us spending $500,000.
Huh?
We're not talking about us spending $500,000. We would not spend over our 350.
I want to spend $350,000. That's what I signed up for.
Yes, and
If we can get 200 from this other guy, that means I want to spend 150.
No.
That's what I think we did.
I think if I'm understanding correctly, it's to a 50% match. So
We would have to spend 400,000 to get money back, assuming they approve 200.
It's a 50-50 match up to $200,000. So if we spend 200, we get 200.
Right. If we
You-
spend
we have to,
175,
yes.
we get one.
To get 200, we would have to spend 200.
I'm sorry, this is a 50-50 match, how does that work? Aren't they giving us 50% of what we spend?
Up to
Up to $200,000.
Exactly, so we would have to spend $400,000 to get $200,000 back, so our net would be 200,000.
Right,
Okay,
but if
okay,
we
yes,
spend
I'm sorry, yes.
350, they don't give us 175.
Correct.
And the
Now,
only,
all we agreed to was 350. So I would expect that we would see a plan that would cost 350,000.
Okay,
And we can make a judgment whether we don't think it's enough or we think it's too much. But that's what we kind of agreed to.
yeah, so once I get this plan back from rep services, we'll go from there, because,
Well, and the whole reason I'm going this way is because if you're gonna wait until this grant comes in, you're not gonna be able to do it next year. I'm saying if we're gonna spend $350, we've already said that we're willing to spend $350, the grant's a plus.
got it,
We can go ahead with the plan on putting the playground in, knowing that we're gonna spend $350,000. If we get $175,000 or $200,000 back, that's a plus.
and then just reduce the cost of it.
And if they give us a $200 grant, we can look at what we can modify.
In more shape.
Yeah, we can change our mind. I mean, it's simple as that. We got plenty of time to do that. But I agree with Craig's point though, that we need to get moving and we can do it with or without that grant.
Yes.
The other thing we'll check on is, can you apply for the grant, build it before the grant's approved, whether there'll still be reimbursement after that.
That would be for you guys to make sure that don't happen.
And what you're saying is move ahead with the $350 regardless of this whole grant, always,
Well, I'm saying I'd like to see what we ask.
right?
And then we can make adjustments if necessary. I mean, if she can say, you know, for another 20,000, this, for another 30,000, this, and we can decide based on it.
But if it's gonna cancel the grant, I think then we would have to say, no, we're not gonna do that, even though we approved it. But- All right, we got some questions. You did.
I do have one other question. I was going to bring it up earlier today. What exactly is contract labor that we're doing now?
What is contract labor? Okay, is
It's
there a
new
particular,
account.
is there a particular department?
Yeah, yours.
Yes, so up until about last week, one of our recreation attendants was hired through Sunshine Staffing. So when you hire someone through Sunshine Staffing, there's a certain number of contract hours they have to meet, and then they're free ready to be hired as an employee of the district. So
This has been going on for 7 months. I just saw that.
So the contract that we had with Sunshine Staffing, the number of hours they require is 540 hours. Because it was a part-time employee they're not working 40 hours a week, it was probably 2 days a week. That contract, obviously, to get to those hours was an extended period of time, probably longer than a normal 8 to 4:30.
So we don't have enough coverage?
We didn't.
At the time, no, we did not. Now, yes, because the employee they sent us was fantastic. We worked through that contract hours. She met her hours and we hired her as an employee of the district. So now she'll be under salaries.
So they won't be any more contract.
There might be, because we're understaffed, we may have to
Yeah.
hire some people.
Anytime anytime you have to hire through Sunshine Staffing or Labor Finder, my understanding is that's the account that it goes to.
You done?
I'm done.
Okay. And then Jimmy,
Morning, supervisors. I'll be quick. Worked on, I mean, everybody's seen the pine, we started pine straw yesterday. Hope we get that done within next week's time frame. We have also added 2 loads of cocaine to the left side of 7. We removed the sod from underneath the pine trees before we did it. Most areas we did, took the sod and put it over behind the house that they were talking about, trying to get the seeding in there. So we actually had a savings with that. So we'll continue to water that and then roll the growth in there, but just trying to save some money there. Aqua Teas, we had a grease committee meeting this week. I'm gonna get the paint next week, get them all painted with clean markers. Evidently they're hard to see because of the color against the turf. So I'm gonna get those painted next week and then we'll get those open as quick as we can. Well, I'm gonna try to get turquoise or something that they can see.
Sandy was going to pick up if you want to get on the stand.
Okay.
I'm open to suggestions, either chartreuse, green or orange, pink.
So if you want to jump in the sand, you go.
we need a high level meeting for this.
Evidently. We applied that granular fertilizer to all the fairways this past week, with ammonia sulfate, and also did a granular on the greens, a foliar minor pack yesterday and the day. on the greens. Ken Boggs gave us his resignation last week. He's gonna move up to Crystal River and take a supervisor's position up there at Crystal River Plantation. So we ran the ad this past week. Hasn't been a little bit, but people want to come to Sebring right now, but we're gonna see about possibly promoting with them what we have right now first. Tommy Bradley's been with us for 3 years now, and he can run about everything we want. He's already been doing irrigation repairs. He's been doing overspraying for us as well. So if we have that opportunity to promote with them, I'll take it from there. I'll learn a little bit more and teach and try to save us some additional things as well. So, but Ken just wanted to thank everybody for the opportunity as well. Other than that, Mike and I are gonna try to get together and get a date to oversee the keys. That should be good this week. We're gonna start applying pre-emergent next week. As everybody, I hope knows, we have a college tournament next week, so we'll be kind of stretching, getting that ready on Monday. So, of course, tomorrow we have that two turns on cars, which is cool as well. So October's busy for mayor staff. So we're gonna try our best to get the pre-emergent. Other than that, so we're staying busy. I know Ray's got some. So.
Well, what is the plan for cocaine? If I'm saying it correctly.
You're right.
Getting off and on some of the park paths is still very difficult.
I gotta fix a lot of transition areas. You know, the biggest thing was to get the green or get the trees all jetted in, watered in, all the air pockets out of, get the straw. We're gonna continue to do it. If I had 30 employees, I could do everything that's what I wanted, but I know the transitions are bad. We're gonna fix them. We got areas on number 12 that are park passes rebuilt. We're gonna go around all the areas on the park pass where the turf is wore out. And basically just put cocaine in those areas and put turf back. We're just gonna be replacing turf again.
I'll just tell you, I think the wear and tear that the parks are taking right now because of the situation, I would make that more important than put the trees on.
Well, the trees are up, so.
Well, I'm just saying, I think that needs to be fixed and fixed that quickly. I mean, some of the areas are pretty bad.
And I would say if there is work that you see there that needs to be done to address some of those issues that you don't have the manpower to do, let's look at whether or not we can do the capital project and get it done, rather than delaying it.
Well, yeah, and really it's just where we come off and on the park pass, the transitions, so, you know, so you can open them up. And the problem is we found the fair, we just keep adding cocaine, you know, no matter what, if you shade them, if you get them flush, it pushes the cocaine out, so you try to leave a lip around it. I mean, ideally, it'd be to add a light bulb concrete at the end of them rather than cocaine, but the transition is always going to get pushed out. But we'll try to, I mean, we can either add the cocaine or shake the transitions down at an angle and try to smooth them out. I'll try to get people on next week. How's that?
That's, I'll just say, it's getting a lot more feedback and comments.
Well, half of them stay on the park path, that'd be awesome, but you know, they drive around the keys, they drive around everywhere, and I mean, it's a mess no matter what.
Well, the marshal's taking care of that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so we'll get on that as quick as we can. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
All right, supervisors, good morning, and then, just a couple update, obviously, we sat, me and Andy sat down with all of you, and we're trying to schedule, but I just wanted to remind everybody that, tomorrow we have the Habitat for Humanity charity tournament, and, it's roughly 120 players, and then we have total. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday is the Weber International Tournament on Deer Run. And next weekend, the 16th, we have the Caring Hearts Tournament, which is probably over 200 players going to be on both courses. And also the note that that's the Saturday that the couples will be in the afternoon, so it's not affecting them as they reminded.
I've had a request from members, could you include that on the calendar when you got outside play tournaments?
The calendar that goes out in this newsletter, the newsletter calendar.
All calendars, as long as you know it, put it on there. Thank you.
Are you saying also the calendar, the newsletter that goes out to all the residents?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a figure, that's reasonable, that way they can see what's coming up, and they know it's, yeah, that's reasonable.
Communicate.
Yeah. On the membership side, I updated you a couple weeks ago, I believe, but, currently we've collected over 214 memberships, which is over $786,000. And that puts us at about 60% of this year's budget, and that puts us $100,000 ahead of last year's pace. I'll keep updating you as we go on. In the last meeting, you asked me to update you on the 50% off membership and how that went. I sent it to you in email format because when I was thinking of how I was going to explain that verbally, it sounded like it could be confusing to follow. So hopefully you were able to see it. And I didn't realize at the meeting last time that obviously last year's 50% off membership are just now starting to expire. So they don't have the rejoin data only up to the current date, which I did that on Tuesday. So in the first year, we sold 61 memberships at 50% off. 32 of those rejoined last fiscal year, and 17 have already rejoined again for this year. That's off the first year. So that was kind of a 2-year supplement.
17 out of 60.
Out of 61, but also
That's a great percentage.
Right, and it's gonna go up. It's gonna go up because a lot of those folks aren't even here. So that's
a lot more than we ever thought.
absolutely, that's what we thought we would have in 1 year. So last year's 50% off membership, we've had 5 expired. That was up until Tuesday when I did it. Out of those 5, 3 of them rejoined for this year already. So the trend is continuing. So that program was far more successful than we would have thought. Of course, we didn't have anything to lean on. But we can follow up with that if you guys want in the future. I don't know if you want to wait 6 months and we can add more data to that to see how last year started to turn out.
Yeah, wait, that's a good idea.
Yeah, 6 months or so, that way. On the restaurant side, obviously we started the menu, which were kind of season hours of Monday through Saturday for lunch and dinner. Things have been running pretty smooth with the new menu. We have not had very many issues. I do want to note that in the restaurant side, we have one key position that's already vacant, which is our sous chef, and we're going to have another very important position coming up open as our executive chef. So we have advertised for both of those jobs, and just like everybody else, it's a tough situation to find labor right now, but we'll be doing everything we can to find folks qualified to fill those positions. And just note, we do have dinner and dancing coming up on Friday the 15th. That's all I have for the report today. Unless you guys have any questions.
Reverse that.
I'm sorry, I do have one more thing. I'm surprised that nobody will speak about today. So I just wanted to follow up with the board, make sure everybody's still on board with starting in November 1st. We will be eliminating 9 a.m. or subsequent reverse shotguns. So if we do any shotguns, it'll be the morning, 8 or 8:30, and we'll do tea times other than those. If it requires any discussion, I'm happy to do so, but we had general consensus that the board was okay with that.
I'd still like to go back all the reasons.
Absolutely.
Wait a minute, what are we doing?
Just confirming the board
Confirming
decision.
what we voted on. Okay, right.
It wasn't necessarily a vote, it was more of a general consensus.
Okay, right.
So,
You're confirming it because we have.
yes, right.
I want the reason.
Yeah, I got a letter from one person that didn't like it.
Well, I understand that, but
So that's why we're
exactly
discussing.
why it should be.
Just want to make sure that the consensus hasn't changed since then.
Okay, that's what I wanted.
Sure, Jimmy, you can come up and explain your side of things. I mean, on the golf side, anytime we run that 9 o'clock reverse shotgun, depending on how large the group is for that shotgun, we could possibly have to open it. Typically, we would open up the first tee at 7 o'clock. If that group at 7 o'clock can play in 3 hours, we're gonna be in the middle of the back nine in 2.5 hours. So that's right around when that shotgun's gonna go out. That front group can run into the shotgun. So if that group is large enough, we might not be able to open up that tee for 30 minutes. So we can lose those 60 times in the morning that there's quite a few people out there that like to play in. And subsequently, we usually lose a couple tee times on the tail end too, as that reverse shotgun tries to come around. We also have to go out there and make sure the first tee is clear when the shotgun goes out. We have to go out there and make sure the shotgun has cleared the first tee before we can resume tee times. So it does add a lot as far as the golf shop is concerned, as far as monitoring that. Now, obviously, that has effects on the golf maintenance staff, and I'll let Judy speak to that.
The biggest issues is the liability. So when we're out trying to spray herbicides and trying to put our fertilizers out, we came to a point where we got to stop because they're out there. So and so we have to come back in the afternoon. It ends up getting into overtime. But the biggest thing is a lot of stuff has to be watered in, especially like pre-emergent. If we go out and put that out, we're going to track it everywhere. So it has to be watered out. It's going to cost us $18,000 to put the application in. The fertilizer and stuff, I mean, we'll go out and try to do, we'll get 9 or 10 holes, and then we'll have to stop and come back out and do that in the afternoon as well. There's times, like I told Mike, if it warrants it, if we got big enough groups or whatever, then, I mean, if I gotta do it at night, I will do it at night. But, you know, the biggest thing is reliability with putting products out. A lot of it has to be watered in. We tried some products we can't put out until it's dry. But the other thing is fairway mowers. You know, we've been cutting fairways twice a week this last few months and trying to give them a better golf course to play. But when we get caught with those golfers, what normally would take a 2 to 3 hour job ends up being an all-day job because they're sitting there waiting. So I mean, that's, you know, it's the same thing with cutting, all that other stuff. Once we get caught, you know, we got to sit and wait. And I'm just trying to be more efficient. We've been putting out 4 greens mowers every morning right now just to stay ahead of everything. But it'd be nice if I could send out 3 greens mowers and have them split and separated and use like grass. So.
Okay, from the aspect of making reverse shotguns earlier, how does that help?
Earlier? Not earlier.
We're talking 8 or 8:30 instead of 9.
So 8 or 8:30. So what we try to do, I mean, we've been starting at 5:30 right now. So if I had to cut it, if he's got an 8:30 shotgun, well, particularly when we next week, Monday, I'm gonna come in and I'll have everything cut. We'll come in at 5 o'clock Monday morning. We'll get our fairways cut. We'll get all of our tees and collars and our approaches cut. So we're having, only because I'm gonna have to send them home earlier, put everybody over on turf. So wall to wall, when we do both golf courses, we basically just send them home because it's a loss of labor, money, everything to do. So our biggest thing is if it's only one golf course, we take most of our staff and put them on out there at 5 o'clock and get that done.
So
prior.
Just to follow up on that. So obviously with the 2 golf courses, when we always have an 8 or 8:30 shotgun on one of the courses. When we're adding these 9 o'clock reverse shotguns, they're on the opposite course. So now we've got 2 courses with shotguns on them. So if we eliminate the 9 o'clock reverse shotgun, it's on the other course. So now he only has 1 shotgun to take care of, and he's doing all this extra maintenance where he can fit in on the opposite course. That
I didn't bring the letter with me. How big is this group you're talking about?
I believe this affects 2 member groups to the best of my knowledge, and it is probably up to 60 ladies that are always playing at the same time, but over the course of when they all play, I think it's It's 2 days a week,
It's on Monday and Friday,
right?
and it's usually between 28 and 36.
In each group, so in
In each
totality, I think we're talking about
But
60.
there's one group on Monday and one group.
Correct.
And when we discussed this, I thought we're just doing this during season. Next summer, when there's not as much play, and those groups numbers are down, then we can go back to the reverse shotgun.
We can, I think next summer's gonna be an anomaly with what we're doing with the irrigation project, so I mean, we can,
I mean, we're doing this, and I agree, that this needs to be done during our busy season, but during the summer. And the problem with it is, as most of you may know, when you come in, the ladies that run the group have to stay until the last person goes in, and do a single tea times, and that could be up to an hour. And
we have moved our morning shotguns from 8 to 8:30 in hopes that that will be sufficient enough to accommodate that request if they so choose. So that's,
What have they chosen?
I believe one group has made a decision, and the other group has not made that decision yet. They wanted to make sure, I told that person I would follow up after today to make sure that we were all on the same page that we were moving forward. And I will do that.
So there's 2 groups Monday and Friday.
One group Monday, one group Friday.
What are they, what's Friday?
And all we're really asking them to do is go into the 8:30 shotgun instead of 9 o'clock. That's basically what we're saying.
yeah, we're talking 30 minutes.
Right.
Right.
And I don't think we need to make an exception.
You don't think you-
No.
I mean, I would probably change my mind if we have a moment, because I think the victim would send maybe still first.
That's correct.
Well, how much money do you want to spend with the guy sitting on the mower?
So about.
Yeah, I
Oh, I think it
trust
is.
me, that's how.
It's absolutely, it's
Huh?
absolutely. is.
Well, if
Because if I don't miss it-
the members don't join it, then that's a serious problem.
Well, they're gonna join, right? I've been in it 30 years, and I've never had a golf course that did as many reverse shots as we do here.
It's 5 of us. I
understand.
I said if we vote, so I would.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all we have.
I may be wrong, but I'm hearing the consensus stays.
Do you want me to take a consensus? Okay.
I don't, we don't have.
Okay. Stays the same. General counsel report.
Morning Supervisors, it's been an interesting couple of weeks since last event. Unfortunately, I have to report that the district's litigating attorney Scott Coney passed away unexpectedly on Sunday. Very shocking, he's barely a year old to me. So yes, that's very unfortunate. I had to talk with the other members of his office on Monday morning, and they are actively looking for someone to take over his caseload. It may take 2 attorneys, but they assured me that they would keep me in the loop as far as how that goes. We received a request from Mr. Hornick. I expect that we will be closing on his first contract probably by the end of this month. I don't really see anything that's going to delay that. But we did receive a request. Part of the agreement with him is that we will be looking to obtain some of the individually owned lots that are speckled throughout Unit 12. He sent us his first list. I think there's 10 or 12 properties in that list, all of which I believe are delinquent in district assessments. So we're going to send out offers to those individual owners, letting them know that they'll take these in lieu of foreclosure to get those deeds back to the district, and then they will be available for Mr. Farley to purchase in the district. And contacted code enforcement about the property over at 5801 Granada. For some reason, the code enforcement kicked it back to the building department. They thought it was some sort of a permitting issue, so the building department was looking into it. But based on my conversation with the building department, they will most likely submit some sort of written opinion and then kick it back back to code enforcement again, because code enforcement is the one that has the ability to actually, do something about the issue. So it's in that process, and I'm doing what I can next. So that's all I've got, Mr. Supervisor.
Thank you, sir.
I have one question. In my meeting with Dan and Chris earlier in the week, they were going to talk to you about the landowner election and what we need to do to make sure that goes in the process. Is that conversation taking place, and you know what we're doing?
No, it has not yet. I'm meeting with Chris later on today.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, general manager report.
Have a few things. There's some county participation, some new sidewalk going in, starting up around the golf cart crossing by the roundabout and extending west to the existing sidewalk. And they'll be getting started on this, I think, in about 30 days. And we'll put it on the website. The notices up on the golf course, and there'll be some minor maintenance of traffic when they're working over there, a little disruption, and we'll be looking at the restoration. But nice project.
Yeah, I can tell you, they let us know about this about 5 years ago. It'll be well used.
Yeah, I had the engineering plans. I think they were waiting till it dried out a little bit to get construction going.
And there were, one thing I don't know if I just want to mention to the rest of the board that 2-3 years ago, they told us they were going to start, and we might hear about it soon, an extra turn lane coming into Sun Lake Park. I do not know when, because it had to be 3 or 4 years ago, they informed us, but these things take a few.
I heard it
It's
about a year
I
ago.
was on board when Tanya told us that it was.
Yeah.
Since I was on the board, so.
I'll find out next week. This is the, this is the commissioner was talking about coordinating with Tanya. I was sending her a text. We're going to meet next week to discuss it, and I'll get an update on that turn lane too. And I just wanted you to be aware, Mr. Brooks, if you see an invoice for $5,285, that's been circulating in the back since 2019. It was a damage claim from CenturyLink because our own utility staff was digging across from the district office and hit their line and didn't call for locates. And it's been since 2019. We probably could have filed an insurance claim, possibly the deductible would have offset most of that, but why it's been sitting in the back for a couple of years, I don't know, but we're going to move it forward and get it paid. And also related to those things happening in Columbus, we had a contractor clearing a lot. The first day he hit a line and then came in and pulled his land clearing permit. We had about $6,700 worth of repair bills for our own staff and parts and KDL. And the next day they came out and tore up a blow off on the corner of the property. So we had some more staff time to replace that. And the contractor took exception, and we had a meeting about it and said, well, when you file for your permit, that's the first business days. We have 2 days to do our locates. And first day you hit one, and second day you hit another one, so the bill's coming to you. And we had a meeting with them, and it's real nice because they're going to be coming back out again and wants to understand the process. And I told them to work together. The other thing I wanted to bring up, and I'll be bringing to you on the agenda, Florida Rural Water was under contract with us to do a rate study for the utility department. That'll be wrapping up in the next 30 days. And I also asked them for a scope of work to do a facilities plan. And a facilities plan is a document that's required to apply to the SRF for funding. And it's really looking at all the options. The financial plan is a standard document. And they put forward a quote for $25,000 to do this. I was involved in an engineering firm 2 years ago to do a similar thing for 3 utility projects, and it was $50,000. So the rate's very good. That's about the time frame. Get started in the next couple of weeks once they're getting the go ahead. It'll take them 2 to 3 months to perform the study. And that's just a requirement from the SRF to apply, and which we're moving forward for the funding to sewer plant. And also do some R&R. And we're also going to be looking into some of the aspects of the water system where those need to be upgraded due to their age.
So they told you that we needed a sewer plant.
Sir?
We haven't been told yet that we needed a sewer plant.
Well, we have two different studies over the years, and due to the plant's age, yes, it needs to be replaced.
So we're going to see a document that says somebody recommends us replace it.
I can bring those documents. There were two studies that were sitting on my desk that were done over the last 10 years.
Are we having this stuff done now?
Well, that study is underway, it's a rate case.
I'm sorry?
It's a rate case where they look at all your costs to run the utility, and they'll figure out that replacement cost because the principal and interest.
I was under the impression that somebody was doing a study and was going to come back and make a recommendation that we even need a new water plant, and if we did, what they recommend the time we should.
You know,
Is that not correct?
No, there's no study underway at the moment. There's two of them that have been completed, if you'd like to see them.
He's talking about the Florida global water
Right.
assessment that has the rate case along with an assessment of facilities. It should be in what they said the next 30 days.
Right.
But that's the assessment. And that will include whether or not we need to do it. Right, and then to 25, he's talking about basically to.
So we have not seen the document that says we need it. That's what I think.
Although you have two that came with oldest and we need them back then.
Well, but we paid for this guy for FLPA, having the right to go out and do this.
For the rural water. So,
Yeah, that first study was a $2,300 expenditure, and they made the statement that it typically costs $25,000 to $35,000 to get that done. And I say they are. The last one I did, which was 9 months ago, was $35,000. So they're right. This one's a little higher, but I'll be coming to you with formal at the next board meeting and some justification. I'll bring you those two studies that were done previously.
Well, the previous studies I don't care about, it would be the current study. Right?
They're moving along, and we'll also come forward. We're looking at purchasing some inventory to have on hand in case we get line rates that, like the contractor that hit that sewer line. It took 2 repair clamps just to get the leak shut off, and that's $1,000 worth of clamps. We really don't have any inventory for brakes. Major maintenance work like that in-house, so if something like that happens, we either have to depend on the contractor having it or have to run to Winter Haven and get it. If it happens on the weekend, not a good situation. And also with the supply issues these days, trying to get utility parts is very difficult. So I'll be bringing at the same time a list of inventory and parts that we'd like to have on stock. Standard size repair clamps, standard size pieces of pipe, that type of thing. And a lot of times they run up to Avon Park and borrow it from them. And I have to say thanks to Avon Park because they've been very nice to do it. But sometimes you go up there and they only have 1 or 2 and they aren't going to let it loose because they run into the same thing. But we'd like to have that inventory here and really need it.
We have room in the shed. We have room in the shed.
Yes. That's a great idea. You know, we have to, we have to have stock. I mean, exactly what Chris just said, we are running Avon Park, thank God they had extra. But, now if you have the Lakeland, sometimes you can't get it, so we definitely have to do that, and we always ask for that, but, so.
We have to put the stuff on the top of the key.
Well, we're going to come up with an inventory or how to control it, where it goes and assigning a work order to it. That'll be part of ordering it. Okay, now we have it, but we want to do that before we get it brought in. So, assigning it to a work order and that cost and tracking it where it went and then, replacing it.
This would be over above the budget, I assume.
I don't think the money's in the budget to do that, and I would come forward with a request to pull it out of your utility reserves for this $25,000 on this study, and then also the spare parts.
theoretically, it's a one-time inventory cost that with each replacement would then be a cost of the project.
Yeah, your capital budget, your parts budget are so tight, right now. They decimate it, but a utility just can't operate without stock to fix things. You get a line break on something like Boulevard, you have sewage spewing up and you're waiting 6 hours to get a part. It just isn't,
Anything else, Kurt?
No, that's all I have today.
Unfinished business? Business? Committee reports?
No.
You got anything coming? Discussion to approve the board?
I would just like to, again, show appreciation to the staff, knowing that they're working under difficult situations to keep things running, and we do really appreciate it.
I think Ray and Craig have asked the last couple of meetings about that house. Have we already, or did you hear? Okay, I didn't hear. Okay.
They went back and forth to play paddle.
Yeah. Can this guy do what he did last time? That's my question. He paid that $5,000 and sent it all back to a couple of years again. Could he do that again?
I doubt it because of based on my understanding, the permit's been inactive since 2017 or 2018. So my guess is what happens, it just slips through the cracks because no one was making any fuss, but now that I'm making a fuss, they're probably going to get it taken care of. So I expect to hear something back from them next week. And if I haven't heard something from them by Thursday, I'll be calling them Friday. I'm gonna call them weekly until I know what's going on.
I think he was code enforcement at the county level.
Okay, I think we're adjourned.